We have got to talk about what's happening with Ravnica Remastered releasing in January of 2024. We have players abandoning ship on their Shocklands, hoping to pick them up later at a much more affordable price. But before you go and sell all your amazing Shockland collections, there's something you probably need to know about. Shocklands are a cornerstone to most people's deck constructions at some point or another, and most people build up a nice collection of Shocklands to hold on to for the long term. So why are so many people trying to sell their Shocklands, and why is the price about to collapse? Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on my channel today. Now, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We're only 850 subscribers away from getting to 20,000 subscribers. And sometime this week, before October 6th of 2023, there will be a video that will explain all the rules of the 20K party for my patrons, my YouTube membership members, and my regular viewers, because everyone is invited to this party. So make sure you watch that video and catch up on everything I'll be doing here to celebrate it with you guys when we reach the 20,000 subscriber mark goal. Now let's talk about Shocklands here. Most of you guys know they originate in Ravnica. They've been around a long time, and when they come into play, they can come into play tapped, deal no damage, come into play untapped, and you're going to take a couple of points of damage. And of course, they've been reprinted a lot. They've already been around a lot of times. Almost every time we've gone back to Ravnica, these things have been reprinted. They've been as high as 30, 40 bucks sometimes. They've been as low as $10, $12. And at this point, I don't think they needed a reprint, but Wizards is doing it anyway, because when they chose to go back to Ravnica Remastered, they limited the options available to them to hype up and build up and boost up this product's value. And that's where it's at. Now, if we take a look at a really cheap version, okay, let's just go and take a look at Gatecrash. Now, if you look at the Gatecrash Shocklands here, they're beautiful, they're functional, they're aesthetically pleasing. There's no huge, massive, full art stuff, I admit that, but you've got some decent cards to look at here. But here's what's happening. As soon as they did the announcement, although Shocklands were starting to recover in 2022, we saw a bit of a dip toward the end of 2022 into 2023. They were just recovering a little bit, and then we had the announcement of Ravnica Remastered. And the fear of reprints is already strong in most players' minds, and now you have it to the point where players, they're not sure what they should be doing, so they're just selling off any cards they have of value, and Shocklands are a staple card for so many decks that they've decided to abandon ship. But there's more to it than that, and there's something that players need to consider. Take a look at the ones from Unfinity. The cards from Unfinity, of course, have held higher value. These cards, they're the only thing that was good about Unfinity, guys. I liked the lands. I thought they were pretty. I still think they're overpriced for the artwork that's represented on them, but they are an attractive piece of Magic history. They have some value to them. But you know what happens to value? Value goes down, because what people fail to recognize is short-term versus long-term. The need of FOMO to have it now versus later. Here's Watery Grave. This is Zendikar Expedition. This is Battle for Zendikar when they first did the Expedition lands, guys. This is the first time we saw this kind of full art framework on a Magic card. Look how commonplace it is now. Look at what we're talking about. This stuff is so easy to get your hands on, it doesn't even make any sense at all to bother buying any of the Shocklands at a higher price point. Don't buy them, because the price will always fall. Those cards that were over 200 bucks, now they're lower than 100. You can find those things on TCG Player for like $84 US. They were as high as 200 and something, now they're 84 and they're still falling. Why is that? Because Shocklands keep getting reprinted, new fancier, new attraction, new glitter somewhere, confetti style, and everything loses value. And the black pit just keeps sucking you in, and you got to fight some witch with a chance. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Army of Darkness. I'm off topic. I apologize. Seriously though, when we take a look at where we're seeing fetch lands, shock lands, pathways, triomes, you've got to be careful on how you've invested your money. Now the funny thing is, most of you already own shock lands. So why are you selling them? What do you think is going to happen when Ravnica Remastered comes out? We know Wizards of the Coast is very limited in the amount of value and attraction to the product they can put in to boost the sales, boost the FOMO. What they're going to have to do, and I'm not sure, I haven't seen anything, but they'll have to put something spicy in there. They've got to learn because Dominaria Remastered got them slaughtered. Remember that thing on Amazon where things were so cheap? The boxes were like $120 US, and they used to be like $400 Canadian. Look what happened. And look what they're doing. They are so far behind the curve on how the economy is handling things that they can't pivot and turn quick enough. They're stuck in this loop. They've got to come through the loop and watch everything fall like a bad set of dominoes, splaying everywhere, and they can't save their products. They just got to ride things out and hope for the best. So when you look at a product like Ravnica Remastered, what are you thinking? Shocklands, right? You're thinking Shocklands. The retro foils, the old artwork, some famous artist coming back to give us new versions of the card. Great, that's fantastic if you're attracted to that art. But let me ask you something. What's the price going to be before you sell your collection of Shocklands for 50 cents on the dollar? What's the price of Ravnica Remastered going to be? Is it going to be like Dominaria Remastered? Is it going to be Time Spiral Remastered? Successful product. I hated it, but it was successful. You guys know I downplayed and hated that product all the way through. Didn't like Dominaria Remastered either, did I? So what do you think I'm going to think about Ravnica Remastered? I don't like it because they're going to overprice it. The product itself and reliving an old Magic block is kind of an exciting idea, but overcharging for it limits its appeal to the player base. They are limiting their possible future sales. They're shooting themselves in the foot. So anyone who's thinking about selling their massive Shockland collection, unless you have thousands of Shocklands and you're in trouble anyway because you've already lost tons of value, I can't help you. It's going to be a pretty bad show for you, and things are going to go downhill. And, you know, I hope you have a lot of Magic decks that need Shocklands because you're going to be stuck with them. Because what's going to happen is when we see these cards come out and we see players start to buy individual packs, maybe playing a draft night, you are not going to see boxes and boxes and boxes of Ravnica Remastered opened because we all got lambasted when Dominaria Remastered came out. We got like fried alive and lost all kinds of value. Even though there was great cards in the set, as soon as it got an Amazon dump and we saw what we could have paid, you could have got 3 boxes for the price of 1. That was crazy to see what went on there. Even if it was only for a brief moment, it tells players what's going to come. It tells the future already. Nostradamus style. We know what's coming down the pipeline. So players will wait. Boxes won't get opened. Stores will open some, sure. There'll be some draft nights, some F&Ms. But all that means is chances are your Shocklands will probably rebound a little bit in price. So why sell them off? If you're going to play with them, you've already paid for them. You paid good money for them. They've already lost value. But why sell them off? Why feed them into the pit of the LGS? And I love my LGS, but why would I feed cards into my LGS only to see a pitiful return of 50 cents? What am I going to get? I'm going to get 50 cents on the dollar. So a $10 Shockland in Canada, a $13, $15 Shockland is going to be $5, $6, $7. That's ridiculous. I might as well just keep them, hold on to them, and play with them and use them. Now, if you have 100 Shocklands, yes, I understand you're going to have to sell some off. You're going to take a bath on it. It's going to hurt. I understand. But it won't be as bad as players think it's going to be because of the price point. We know the price point won't be cheap. We don't know what it officially is. We don't know if they added some wacky magic stuff in there, one-of-one Shocklands, famous art signed signatures, maybe a Moxman cards in there. I don't know. They didn't ask me, but I don't know. They've added some funky stuff now to boost the sales of their products that are flagging and failing. I wouldn't put it past them at this point to put some shenanigans in there, put a little bit of the rainbow pot of gold, and make people chase after it. It's up to players to decide if they want to engage in it. But even then, the overall engagement with this product is going to be low. It is not going to be what people think it's going to be, just like it wasn't for Dominaria Remastered. We had a good set, we had a lot of fun, there was an initial couple of weeks, and what happened? Look at my top 10 videos. The thing went off a cliff. Just, we're talking like Roadrunner style with Wile E. Coyote. It just went down and the anvil landed on his head afterwards. That was the insult to injury. That's what players had to deal with, and that's where you're going to go. So I would say hang on tight. Don't lose out on your Shockland value. You probably need to play with them. Just hold on to them. If you're playing Magic, you're going to need them again at some point. You don't want to have to rebuy them later if you make a fatal error. And if you're not going to be buying this product anyway, hold on to them because chances are you're going to play with them again. Even if you're thinking of quitting Magic, you don't get rid of your mana base. It's the hardest thing to build back up. If cards get difficult to buy, if the market turns in a couple of years, it's just not worth it. I always hold on to that stuff and I never let it go. Either way, I want to thank you all for hanging out today, talking this conversation through, having a little bit of a, descriptive conversation of what's going to happen, what could happen. And yes, you could say this is my opinion. This is Moxman's opinion. It's not real. You're right, it's not real. Don't believe me. Just don't believe me. Believe what you want to believe. But maybe I've seen this before. Maybe there's other videos describing this before. Maybe there is a basis for fact because it's all happened before. We have history now with Dominaria Remastered. We got history with Time Spiral Remastered. Remember those things? They're not short printing it to keep the price inflated. These are the old print runs still. It's going to be bad. Maybe not right away, but look forward to seeing it on Amazon. Either way, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And don't forget, this is an amazing game. It's a breathtaking game, and you've always got to bring a friend to Magic so you can share that experience. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Have an awesome day. And of course, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons I have supporting this channel each and every day. Without these patrons, let's face it, things wouldn't be happening the way they do. So a special shout out to each and every one of them. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Have an awesome day. Welcome back. You made it to the end. I congratulate you for the wisdom you have to stick around for the after credits. We're doing a little Optimus Prime today, a little Megatron, because my other coffee cup was not washed. You know, the usual like AM 640 thing I always keep around. I don't even know where I got that. Garage sale when I was poor. Either way, that mug's been with me forever. Same as these. It's been like 10 years. So here we are at the end of the Ramble Jamble. Glad you guys stopped by. And as we get closer, right, to seeing things like Ravnica Remastered fail, because that's what I think is going to happen. Between all of us here in this room, it's going to fail. Wizards, again, they've admitted they're planning really far ahead, and sometimes the economic forecast isn't going to be what it's going to be. Do you think somebody's going to pay $280, $300 for a box of Ravnica Remastered after what happened to Dominaria Remastered? After we've seen what happened to even great sets like Time Spiral Remastered, right? It's a great set, but look what happened to it. Okay? They put some special retro frame stuff in, which now they've done 20 times over. It's not special. Love the box. I think it's very pretty. I love that green. But it's not worth jack. It's going nowhere. It's doing nothing. Sealed is dead right now. It's in the grave. Not quite buried all the way up to its neck, but it's getting close. Like that Creepshow episode with Ted Danson. It's like up to here in the water. Yeah. That's where we're at with products like this. I'm not afraid to say it. I collect sealed stuff. But even I know when, the nails are in the coffin, you don't put more money on top of bad money on top of bad money. You got to wait and see if they'll fix it first. Reverse course. Save the ship. Save the crew. Save your customers. I'm sorry. Getting worked up here. So let's back this up. When you think of a product like Ravnica Remastered, and yes, I'll have other videos on this when I can do more price comparisons and get more data of what all the sales things look like, I think it's going to do horribly. And I don't think Shocklands are going to be nearly as cool as people think they're going to be when they already exist in so many different ways. They never should have printed it in Infinity, but they had to try to save that product. So I'll be curious to see how it pans out, but it's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. And I love it because it just shows you, Wizards, you better smarten up. You're killing your IP stuff, man. You're killing your marquee stuff. What are you going to do, put Pathways in next year? Are you going to go right to Triumphs the year after? They're running out of room. The runway's getting shortened with each set, and they have less space to take off with. So they've got to fix that. They got to broaden out really quick. I'm looking forward to some of the new sets, though. There is some new stuff coming up that I'm kind of excited to see. But Ravnica Remastered is not one of them. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm going to finish the coffee. I'm going to make some roast chicken, which I'm doing right now. And before you know it, I have some orders to tear apart for stuff for the 20K party. It's a lot of it. $55 in import fees drove me insane. I hate the post office. I love them, but I hate them.